Hello guys. Welcome to the streaming morning. I was Vinay, I kata, I Akira. Welcome to today's stream. Awal hari ni korang. Why you guys so early ma? No, what do you mean I not puasa? I'm puasa ma. Kepam tak ada. Puasa-puasa malah boleh kepal-kepal korang. Let me shout out everyone. Today kita try streaming Yeah. Semua kita dapat stream. We dah check dah. I already check my internet. It's fine. It's fine guys. Good. So harap tak ada apa-apa berlaku macam semalam. Semalam a very very terrible stream. I'm very sorry. Nanti okay lah tu kita insyaAllah okay. Tapi si tak hantar. I haven't sent my laptop to do cleaning, so kita doa-doa lah kan dia okay. Sunni. Kalau tak okay for Sunni, launch laptop. Thank you. Might wanna play demo game today sebab nak test stream je sebenarnya. Test internet. Kalau okay kita main heavy game Tapi rasa ni tak heavy kot. Just a demo. Mana boleh balik laptop tu. Kalau okey selalunya masalah ni sebab Zee tak hantar cleaning lagi. Tak hantar cleaning, tak hantar thermopist, tak ganti lagi. Tu je. Janganlah baling. Mahal weh. Walaupun tak laptop ni Zee beli like tahun 2020 I think 2020 I buy the laptop. No 2022. So it's like 3 years old. Still okay. Still new. Still can do. Right, kita akan main demo small space.
Abang 50.
Apa 50 tu puasa-puasa ni? Astaga. Welcome to the stream. Welcome. How is everyone? Semua dah makan ke? Soalan. Semua game ni lagi scary daripada Minecraft. Dah tidur ke?
Minecraft tak ada scary sangat. Yang ni lagi scary.
Ini
Minecraft yang scary dia dengan creeper je bagi aku.
Creeper dengan Enderman.
Apa tu? Forest lama ni.
Mantap lah.
Ricky tak ada. Mana
Asal?
boleh perform time puasa Ricky? Kenapa?
Jangan kata-kata tekan space.
Kau dia mati jatuh.
Aku tekan
50 kali selawat. Bagus juga. Betul lah tu. Ya tu, kena husnuzon. Ya tu. Husnuzon bagus. Husnuzon ni bagus. Puasa ni kita kenalah banyak-banyak husnuzon. Zoning kan dia. Tak ada. Zee punya ni pam rosak je. Dia tak keluar je. Kepam apa? Shim element kan? Ke Streamlab? Sekejap. Dia tengok Streamlab lah. Streamlab. Kamera rosak. Tu lu pasal. Tak perasan? Sekejap. Let me look at my bot. Sometimes bot tidur. Dia suka tidur. Dia guna apa? Twitch log keynote. Tak nampak kan? Nanti kita start streaming. Kita main demo. Are you sleeping my bot? Yes. Dia suka tidur lah Streamlab punya bot ni. Alright. No saya tekan. Alright. Mana boleh kepal-kepal korang? I kepal. Tak elok. Tapi kenapa dia ada macam arrow ke tepi? Balik. I need tu. Ayat tu. Alamak, ayat tu. Mentang-mentang si Hai tu dengan Elliot tak sayang kita. Faham ayat tu? Right, sekejap. Ada ad break pula. Banyak korang. Siapa yang tak sub ke Zee tengok ad kejap. Dalam 40 saat nanti datang. Dia tak nak buat apa. Sepatutnya tadi awal-awal tu tak tahulah dia suka lambat lah dia punya ad. Setting kot. Setakat ni okey lagi kan stream. Okey kan guys. Sebab this is only a test stream. I'm just testing my internet. My internet pagi ni je check okey lah. Dalam 60 MB download, upload dalam 10 okey lah. Awal ke? Zee pun turun Zee punya output stream 150 1,500. Oh, liput 1,500 je. Tahulah, takut frame drop. Macam tu. Kamu dah sah. Zee kepang 80%. Tak ada. Hey, Isaac. Good morning. Memang film kepam. Bakal kata stream. Yeah, let me shout out to you. So, how's your guys punya puasa by the way? Jap. Surrounded. Apa dia? Nak tunjuk something? Sila. Apa tu? Tell me. Let me see.
What?
Let me shout out to you, sir.
Wait a second, where are you guys?
Sir? Ding.
Wait, why you guys giggling?
Iki punya puasa tak ketika hari ni hunting tahu bergedil. Sedapnya tahu bergedil. Jumpa tak? Berapa ubat? So 3 hari pergi bazar ni.
What up?
Just wanna say you Wani before I go. Hi. No. You also Wani, Isaac, Daisy, Renan. Semua tu Wani. Yang lain-lain lelaki-lelaki semua busuk. Wani. Raja punya almost perfect. Oh my god. So hari-hari yang makan tahu bergedil. Wow. Kenapa? Apa kriteria you call that perfect?
Our village is crazy, guys.
Kind of interesting. Dia tengok ads ke?
Help me, right now. Our village is crazy. I'm ready for my life.
Ni klik yang
My stomach hurt!
the
My
cashier
stomach
apa tu?
fucking hurt!
Simulator tu. Dia main solo lagi.
What?
Dia tak main pun
What the hell?
orang.
Wait a second, where are you guys? Wait, why you guys?
Apa? Shut up. 2 kali?
Bro, he's motherfucking blind.
Oh tak, sorry. Ni kita tengok ni.
What up?
Hey, what up? Hi, manager. Ex-manager, I mean.
What up, ex-manager?
Game ni dulu dah lebih pukul orang. Diulang tu lah pasal. Diulang-ulang ni. Kenapa sih?
Run, bro. We're getting whacked. Oh my god.
Azek keganasan dia pukul semua orang. Aziz ada tak tag kau kat TikTok? Tak tengok.
Our boss is crazy. Our village is crazy,
My
guys.
phone dekat ni.
Help me right now.
My phone dekat belakang.
Help me right now. Our village is crazy. I'm ready for my life. I'm not working here anymore.
My stomach hurt! My stomach fucking hurt!
Flip. Apa ni pun nak follow? Baru jumpa dia punya TikTok. Sekejap Ni punya phone tadi charging. Okay. Azad dia tak ulang dah. Apa ni baru follow? Start following you. Follow back. Macam mana? Activity. Oh, polling session. Chong duel. Lot of thing going on, Hansley, and it was wild. Whoosh. Oh, Isaac punya ni TikTok. Ni pulled. Oh, Abang Rosli. Abang Rosli ni Benny dah datang. Ush. Banyak people ni. Sorry Haji tak nak tunjuk ke dekat dekat stream. Ni tak tahu nak sekejap. Tak ada lah comel je korang edit. Noh, Chongyun. Chongyun. Isaac. Kesian Isaac. Get up. Mental breakdown ni Isaac. Aduh. Alah comel je. Boleh kalau nak. Tapi itulah dia kena login. Ni tak ingat password TikTok ni. Nak login pun saya tak tahu macam mana nak login. Aduh, tak apalah. Siapa nak tu pergilah follow saya Isaac punya TikTok comel je. Get out. Aduh. Habis Rosli tak nak balik Pukul habis Rosli tu sekati je tak nak balik. Maybe kena ada klorin kat sebelah kot masa 10. Maybe dia balik. Klorin ke Sejoin ni ke Abang Nubilet ke baru balik kan. Alright. Saya terhibur di pagi ini. Tiba pagi tadi lagi terhibur. Ada member ni dia minta dia punya Valorant. Dia cakap lah okay. Dia type lah. Dia nak type sila hahaha kan. Tak tahu tak sih. Dia type sila SIAL sila sial. Lepas tu dia perasan. Lepas dia send dia perasan lah kan. Lemak dia tercarut kan. Tertypo kan. Dia bagilah sekali laju pula dia baca. Dia kata kau siapkan aku. Aku cakap aduh pagi-pagi apa benda puasa-puasa ni siap orang. Astaga. Boleh login pakai QR. Sekejap boleh lah korang. Kalau typing tu silalah tengok dulu sebelum send. Kan dah tiba pagi-pagi. Bawa in pakai ni Astaghfirullahalazim. TikTokku apa benda ni. Jangan tengok. Apa benda TikTok. You tak malulah awak perempuan. So Valorant. Film. Tunggu BP reset. BP baru datang. BP baru datang baru je Valo. Tengok bukan orang lah push. Bukan Z. Sabar jap. Use QR. Saya innocent sini. Saya punya TikTok is clean. BP baru bila? Sekejap macam ni nak. Mana nak scan? My QR code. Scan lah. You nak scanning? Hello? Okay, scan. Sebab tak login, dia tak senonoh di bulan puasa. Saya tengok risau. Confirm. Yeah. Astaghfirullahalazim. Anak. No, not now. Apa? Bukan. Now what you think? Apa benda tu siap? Mana macam nak tengok salah-salah message? Apa benda ni? Jawab activities. Bukan. It's not what you think. It's not what you think. Bukan Aizen. Kenapa dengan TikTok aku hari ni? Bukan gay, bukan. Jongjun duduk balik. Charlotte. Dori, sesat tu Dori. Sas tak tahu apa-apa korang. $70 hak piti. Chong Yun. Chong Yun sibuk apa ni? Yes. I kata. Si 15. Banyak orang balik. Biasa lah Chong Yun. Oh, okey lah 40. Titi. Boleh lagi tu kumpul dulu baru keluar kan. Oh. Aku tak boleh. Nice. Dia lawak tengok lamanya. Je lah mesti apa hal tu orang sebelah tu. Okey tak orang sebelah tu? Husband balik. Test apa tu kata? Tommy kadabal. Ush. Pohal lu. Kuat sangat ke korang? Let's go. Aduh, Isaac lelaki siap. Nice. Rip your ear tu lah. Rip ear. Dasar lo. Dasar korang pukul kan. Dah start dulu. Okay. Aduh, drag say the magic word. Semua salah drag. Oh, blame the drag. Aduh, mana TikTok kita? TikTok kata apa? Kon katu. Kenapa nak kon katu? Aduh, okay, lepas ni Zee nak try jugalah. Kalau pool sebab tahun lepas Zee tak ada luck pool. Nah, tahun ni nak try. Dah lama tak hapus ke? Tu pasal. Sakit kan? Kau sakit ke? Baju kertas weh. Drag punca kan? Drag punca. Memang punca tu. Dah asal korang drag si kepau. Offline tolong kan. Bagus lah. Patutlah share screen. Ego. Apa hal hilang gambar? Gambar mana? Nice flame. Aduh. Dah tengok TikTok saya. Ni. Oh, kuatnya. Sedih oh. Dia suka drama ni. Berapa kali dia tengok? Tak ada gay kan? Tangan aku magic. Macam tangan kami lah. Tangan wangi. Tangan je wangi. Lainnya busuk ke pam. Oh, bapak kuat. Dah. Cakap. See, mana ada lagi? TikTok Z clean and clear. Aduh, Ramadan kak tu lah pasal korang ni Ramadan ni. Aduh. Elok-elok sikit, behave. Jangan tak behave. Okay, jap nak tutup TikTok. Dah cukup. Apa bombong kita? Kata kepam. Wangi. Semua wangi. Okay. Madan ni, okay. Tadi Ricky cakap dia target tahu bergedil. Korang lah yang lain. Ramadan macam mana? Kita borak lah sikit sebelum main game. Game tak bermain lagi. Ramadan sih alhamdulillah okey lah. Ramadan pertama, kedua abang kita balik, so kita tak dapat stream. Ramadan ketiga Z try nak stream tapi stream Z black. Internet Z inailah. So hari ni Z try lah. Ini kapan ke-4 ke-5 pada ke-5. Okay lah kot internet Z. Okay kot. Okay kot. Ya kot. Kot lah. Malam tak boleh loh. Semalam Z check Z punya internet semalam. Lepas tarawih tu kan Z check Z punya internet. Upload speed je 0. Berapa lah. Z macam tak boleh stream ni semalam. Malam 0 lebih. Mana lepas. So semalam saya just spend time with Z habiskan event semua tu. So hari ni kita stream lah. Bangun kan Z cakap internet okey. Saya stream lah hari ni. Macam tu lah kan. Esok tahulah. Si tak boleh nak stream banyak sangat. Tak ada wifi. Tapi by the way, kalau korang main Phasmophobia, ada news update nanti. Esok news update. Ada map akan renew. Bliss apa lah. Sekejap macam mana sebut lah nama ni. Bliss Dale Farmhouse akan ada renovation. Dekat Phasmo. Jadi dah apa ni, dah cari dia orang cek. Jom main Blizzdale Farmhouse, kita tengok renovation dia. Tapi tak tahu lah bila nak stream sebab orang tu busy. So kita tengok lah dulu bila stream. Tapi kalau korang nak ajak main boleh je. Saya menunggu je ajakan. You never see it coming because you track says Z kepam. Tu lah pasal tiba-tiba je. Last minute tiba-tiba Z kepam. Macam semua tiba-tiba dapat. Tiba-tiba luck ada dengan weapon sekali. Nice. Kita tunggu bila orang dah ajak Phasmo. Masalah Z pun tunggu orang. Korang tunggu orang, Z tunggu orang. Sampai sudah tunggu. Betul tak? Apa ni? Tapi yang kalau selalu Z ajak, selalu dia ajak ni siapa ni? Guru kami. Katu kadang-kadang. Kalau korang lain Z tunggu korang ajak. Sebab Z ni malu lah. Kalau yang guru kami tu katu Z tak malu. Z cakap jom. Kalau korang lain saya tunggu korang ajak. Tunggu je bila nak ajak Z. Tapi itulah takut juga sebab malam selalu internet Z ni lah tak mesra alam. So kalau nak main game dengan Z boleh, tapi expectation dia kena rendahkan. I go take nap. Alright Isaac, good night. Have a good nap. Jangan tidur lama, okay? Good night. Thank you singgah my stream. Persis ya, yang lain pun siapa nak sila. Dah. Alright, kita can start our demo. Small space. Tak tahu lah, game ni game susun perabot. You susun the perabot. Susun perabot dalam bahasa Inggeris apa? You organize the space. Apartment lah macam tu. So Z saja je nak test demo ni sebab Z suka design susun perabot semua ni. Demo Kelantan bukan. Demo Sokmo. Tak pandai Kelantan. Note from the developer. Thank you for playing Small Space demo and thank you for over 7,000 players. The game still on progress and demo only include the first selections of level object. But I hope you have fun playing. Anyway, ni kelas. Ush. Tengok the test. Tengok setting jap. Language English, day, night, cycle, music. Oh, the music ambient. VSync. View. Alright. KJS thing. Control. We drag. Ni plus drag WSD. Drag. Okay. Drag mana drag? Drag tidur lagi. Bangun drag. Zoom camera wheel. Please. Mouse. Right. Let's see. Ooh, ada New York, Berlin, Tokyo, San Francisco, off-grid. Off-grid kat mana? Si jadi designer. No, it's like interior designer lah. Jack kat dalam game. Tu apa pasal? Jack tengah value. Hantar value sekali. Share flat room. Let's go. Share flat room 14 square per meter, I think. 150 square per feet. Maxine just moved to New York to study graphic design at New York. Kan NYU New York kan? NYU New York University. She loved to draw and read a lot. With a bit of luck, she got a room in a share flat in the vibrant Lower East Side. Maxine always romanticized the buzzing city, and now that she lived there, she fully take in the electric vibe of people. Electric? Sorry. Fully take in the electric vibe. I don't know what is electric mean. The street, the cafe, bars, and restaurant. So I guess she like the aesthetic kind of people. Living on a budget in New York can be tricky, but she managed to find the fun. Her room gave her a space to calm down and relax. Maxine loved the feel of natural material. So I guess more thrifted, fine, and she tried to add personality to every inch. To unwind, she loved to curl up in pillows and blanket to read her new favorite book. Fine. Tengah custom. Tengah buat apa kat custom. So she left books and plants and everything. It's like the girl. Start no space. Okay, left click drag and WSD. Alright. Okay. Right click drag to turn camera. Kita ingat controller tu. Okay. Okay. Oh ya, by the way, Walu bila?
ZieLex ケパン
Saya tak kapam. Bila new? Kau sangat ke? Sekejap. Bila new character keluar? Cik korang macam kuat. Sound so kuat. Apa Waylay macam sangat je. Alright. Living room. Working. Sleeping. Dia satu je ke? So share flat room. PC need bedroom. Extra wishes. Books and pillow. She need a bed. Bed.
Ramadan tiba Ramadan.
Marhaban ya Ramadan. Let's see. This one is kind of vibe. How do I? Oh no, I didn't want to. Wait. This one is a big bed. I don't think she need a big bed. No. I think she need a small. She's just a single lady. I don't know. Oh, this is how to rotate. Dia tengah move up. Bukan. Ni NY City. Kita try letak dulu sini. Tadi macam ada colour-colour. Oh, camping colour. Ada pink. Mesti ada pink. Lawa lah grafik dia. Tak ngelai. Okay, dia nak back. Kita base sini dulu. Storage. Sini ada storage. Kita letak dulu kat mana. Okay, bedroom siap. Might not put there. Might put here. Oh, there ada pintu. Dah tak perasan. Tak perasan ada pintu. Tak boleh. You can put there. Alah, macam susah lah kalau bed macam ni. Macam ni kot. Macam ni. So nanti kalau balik kerja, terus baring. Boleh baring. Okay. This one might put here. Kau pasal santai je lah Maybe in the middle. Middle much more better. Middle maybe lah. PC setup mana? You mean the game yang PC setup? I think there is. Ada yang game PC setup. Tapi dia ada demo. Now dia nak pillows and plan. Pillows and books. Books mana? Books decoration. Think it's on decor. Wih, ada lah. Ada laptop. Apa ni? Oh, okay. No, I did not want that. Ada rusa masuk kampung. Comel. Living room. Dekor dia sama je. Oh, ya, this pillow. Sekejap I think sitting kan okay. Sitting. Dia tak pandai sangat decorate tau korang. I try je. Maybe middle. I want some plan. Kecilnya planner. Sekejap. Tak ada. Oh. Mana bookshelf? Bookshelf. I'm looking for bookshelf actually. Deco? Oh, ni buku. Maybe not this one. Okay, tentu.com. Alright, ni. Sambil dengan yapping. If I yapping, you're not. Senyap je lah. Tak apa. Happy com. Oh, dia nak 6 book and 2 pillows. Miss select. Not finding couch that I like. Why this is so big? No, that's a living room. Bed tables. Oh, end tables. Mine end tables. Wait. End tables. Nah. It's too basic. No, I don't think that's the vibe. I feel like she more wood. Like, I cannot. No, they doesn't have other color. Should I do that? Hidup Raya macam gandu ada keluar kat account aku. Apa hal tu? Aduh. Raya memang salahkan Raya. I think the books I might put here. Sekejap. Right. I need more plants. We need more plants, guy. Wait. She need reading lights. Reading lighting. Yeah. Oh my god, that's so big. No. Oh my god. Should I do this? And she can read. It doesn't feel like the vibe. Can you feel the vibe? Dia macam microphone je. It look like a microphone. Ow! Is that I kira what kata shit? What you punch me for? I might not do that lamp. This lamp is I feel like nah. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. Dia nak bedah pula. No. Mana ada nak bedah? Wih, dia ada. Tak ada. Mana bedah apa-apa. Bedah ni. Bedah orang lah. Besar. It doesn't have like small kind of lighting. You know. Punch of love. Oh my god. Thank you for the love. Monk of love also. Oh my god. I love the love. Tiba. Ow. Itai. What is this? Oh, it's more books. Yeah, she need more books. Ay, itai. Itai yo. Stop punching me. Stop punching me, guys. No pillow. No pillow here. Testing, guys. Ay. No quack. No punch. What is this? What is this? What is this? I don't even know. I need to look at all the decor, guys. Decoration. Ooh, big carpets. Oh my god. Ooh, I love big carpets. I love big carpet, but then nak cuci susah. I think small table. I mean not table. Sitting. Oh, sorry, this is working. Sitting. Small chair. Comfy chair. I want a comfy chair. Does this look comfy? Oh, this one look comfy. This one does it had ada color. Pink. Pink. They have pink, guys. Pink. Tapi kalau ada like what color was that? Like you know, natural color. I think is more better. But okay lah, this kind of okay lah. Is it too big? Oh wait, it's clipping. It's clipping toward the window. Chata mate. Can I put plant here? You know, when I always play Sim, I always put plant at the corner because I can. Other type of plant, please. This is small. No big plant, man. Or maybe lighting. Oh, lighting can feel lighting better. You see? I don't know where's the wire gonna be. Can yeah, I like this pen. I like this light. That's black, okay. I don't know, guys. Buat satu rumah pink, let's go. If they don't really have a lot of options. I think if I can find it, yeah, sure, I can make the whole pink. If I can find it. What's this? I think this is for televisions, something like that. What's this? Oh, is it? Wait, this is storage. No, I thought it was curtain. I don't think there's curtain in this game. I just want a small table. Small. Like small round table. Oh wait, this storage. A small round table. Is this small? No, it's not small. This is big. Small round table, please. Oh, this is big. I don't want this. I don't think that's good. We just... I don't know what I want actually. Nah, that's not pretty. That's big. Honestly, I don't know what I want. Letak perfume dispenser sebelah tu bila tu ke mana dia. No. Bila ni wangi. Gini nama apa? Small space. It's a demo lah. Small space demo. It's just a demo game. Oh, this is dining table, living, working, at least sleeping tables. No, I wouldn't do that. Do I want a table or storage? This is so big. Unfortunately, it's not that pretty. There's no other color. Small space, yeah, small space. Small space demo. Demo, sokmo. Or maybe this one can use this one. I might need plants. More plants, please, guys. Can I put plants? No. I want small. This is not small. Where is the small one? I want the small. And then she need more books, guys. More books. And she like this one. She already read the books. Okay. Maybe the carpet I need to like. Carpets. I might need to move. I like it, guys. Okay, she need more pillow. Okay, she need pillow. Maybe she need pillow on the, on the sofa, so she can hug it. No color option, No color option for that. Maybe two pillow. What's that pillow? Oh, what's this? This pillow? Oh, this one is a bigger pillow. What is this? Oh, this one is a nice pillow. Okay. Two pillow, guys. Two pillow for the reader. Okay, pillow done. Need more books. Don't know where to put the books. I think this one I haven't decorated. Alright. She want more books. What kind of books? What's this? Is it a book? I don't think there's option to put dogs. What is this? What is this? Oh, it's a clock. I don't think there's a dog option. What's this? What is this? Oh, it's a fox. Why? Oh, it's a wait. I can't zoom. Wait, I can't zoom out. Oh, it's like a decoration, basically. I'm sorry. What is this? Oh my god! Why it's why it's the grandfather clock? Why it's why it's boring? Why it's like run down the masjid tu? Naga tidak ke mana? It's like boring though. Oh, so it's kind of like interact with the surface, no? What's this? What's this? Buffalo? And this? Mini buffalo. There's a big buffalo and mini buffalo. Aku panggil je Majid sebab nampak dalam Majid. Oh, really? Oh, Majid tak guna digital dah sekarang. Lalu si pergi Majid dia digital. Tak ada dalam rumah grandpa mana-mana. No, Western people call this grandpa clock because it always in their old house like that. Majid aku ada lagi. Oh, nice. Not gonna lie, this clock is very nice. Tapi it's okay lah if you have like big space. Yeah, you can have this kind of clock. It's pukul 3. Wait, I don't want that. I don't want that in my house. No, this is not my house. I'm just decorating. Just looking. Oh, this carpet. Can I like? This is a big book. She need 4 more books. Maybe you can stack them. Cookbook? Does she want cookbook? Does she like cookbook? Does she say she like cookbook? There's like... I can stack them. Oh, this is a big one. Can I move this? Oh. I want more books. One more book. Where is this? Alright, I need to decorate this piece. This piece doesn't look nice. I'm sorry. Ada 2-3 kucing berlari. Mana nak sama si kucing belang. Bila azan dia bunyi tong kuat noh. Atas sekali letak Quran. Ui. Dah tahu dah mana letak simpan-simpan ni. It kind of clipping to the edge. Dia tak ada. It's clipping. Okay, that's fine. No, Yamiro. No. Okay, Yamiro. It's so clipping. I can't put it at, the right section. Buku dekat, tak jumpa. Sleeping, working. There's storage. Why one like this? Yeah. Like that. Tables? No, not tables. Oh, this one is... I can put stair. Storage? What's this? Oh. Block? Oh. Oh, you can have like a platform. Ooh. Wait, let me see. Storage. Oh, this one can. Wait, I need to zoom. How do I zoom? What is this? Let me see. So big, because the room is small. I don't really want big. Put like decoration over there. What's this? Oh, this one seem like have lighting. Ooh. I think this for kitchen. Something kitchening. Tables. This one. Oh, this one like the old kind. Or maybe can suit the vibe. Nah. No, thank you. I don't like the vibe. This one is longer. Maybe a longer. Oh, this one is a big one. Nope. Tak ada. Tak apa. We make do what is necessary. This thing is clipping toward my help. I think it's Oh, this is such good. Never mind. Maybe this one need to move. You move there. No. Sekejap. Sana. Sana. Go away. Okay. It doesn't want to be at the center. I think because there's a grid system. So it's like between these two. But I want the center of everything. Maybe no. Ke boleh aja. Macam nak boleh tegak. Can you like? How do I? No. 90 degrees? 45? Rotation amount. Nani? This one up down. Oh. Oh. Oh, wait. We're doing something. Wait, how do you? How do I do this? How do I go up? Go up. We're discovering something, guys. Okay. And how do I escape this? It can be done, guys. Can be, but it's a bit hard. How do I move it again? No, I don't want to move that. I want the book, guys. It can be done. Let's go. Alright. Tanya. This is kamera buku. Okay, but it's like, susah. Yeah. Maybe in the center. And this reindeer can be like a book. The tahan book. You see over there. Now I need to do the other tree. Oh my god. I need to do the other tree, guys. So work with me. Wait, how do I do again? I don't think this one. No. Oh my god. Like that. It's not that hard. It's okay. It's fine. 괜찮아. How do I do it again? No. This one. Wow. Salah. Wrong control. Okay. This one delete. I don't take up space. For a book lover, I think she need more books. I guess we can buy all the books. Furniture. Let me see all the books. Rafik, welcome to the stream. Okay. How are you? How's puasa? It's clipping. It's clipping in the. It's clipping to the pen. No. Okay, we put there first. I don't know where shall not want to move books. What books? I think these books. Okay, I will buy the book. More books. She's a reader, okay guys. She loves books. So it's natural for her to have a lot of books at her room. Okay, natural. Okay. Big book over there. This one she already have the books. Delete that. Lah tabah ni kena godaan rok. Tabah. Jangan tengok rokok tu, simpan. Pergi tak jauh-jauh. And rotate that. Tidur. You know, best thing to, to avoid the temptations. You go sleep. Sleep is the best medicine. But do not sleep like 24 hours. Just sleep moderately. I can't see. Stop. It's clipping to the wall. This is temporary. Okay, I will susun it. See, she have a lot of books. She need it. Start sini. We'll put there first. Space. Yes, she loves space also. I put here first. It's clipping. And frogs. Frogs is good too. Am I having too much books? I might do. Tak boleh nak tidur dah. Pergi tolong mak buat kuih raya. Kau nak buat dah kuih raya? Syak rokok tapi tak payah nyalakan, settle. Mana boleh. Still, you still masukkan that rokok in your mouth. Still tak boleh, mak. Cannot. Pegang je. Tapi tak boleh. Pegang nanti nak terguna pula kan. Tabah Rafiq. Gambar deh. Puasa sebulan je. Nanti buka pergilah sap banyak-banyak. Alright, I'm gonna move a bit. I want the big book on this side. I think New York is the biggest one. I'm gonna put here. Stop clipping. It's clipping, It's clipping to the rusa. I'm gonna put you here. Sad, bad clipping moments. Wait, this book is clipping, I think. No, maybe because there's other books in the way. Wait, just mati. Oh, there's a books over there. Let me put the books. Right. Good enough? I think so. Pegang dan bau ambil tajuk. Tajuk pegang bau terus sedap je. Ayah lah. Aduh. Gambar dia. Puasa. Take these. Think white books is fine. I don't like this book. Just delete that book. You go over there first. I need to susun the brown books next. Right. Brown books. Oh wait, the pink book. There's a pink book, guys. Why clipping to that one? Clipping to this. Wait, me. Does the brown book on clip, or is it clipping?
Emotional, damn it!
I'm very emotional. Very. Wait. I may need to look in the different angles. Different. Wait.
안녕.
Hi Mystic. 안녕하세요. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the small space stream. I'm just stacking book. So hard to stack the book. It's clipping to the other books. Okay, now it's fine. I think so. These small books. This big book. I think space book is big. No, stop clipping wrongly. No, clipping to the. It's clipping. think so. Alright. Satu gilayan solo leveling dulu. Ush. Alright. Happy solo leveling. Itu solo leveling season 2 eh. Game demo ke? Yes. It's more space demo. Demo. I'm just trying out. Just testing stream actually. And I test stream with this demo game. It's kind of nice. It's like vibing everything. Okay, as a librarian, a past librarian, this hurt my eyes, you know. Hurt because it's. Well, I think you guys know why it's hurt my eye. If only I can like move everything a bit. And this is hurting my eye. Okay guys, I don't really know how to decor. I'm bad at decoration. Don't look at this. We need one book that is open. Okay, we put that book. I don't think there's any more decoration I can put. About the buffalo. The buffalo. I don't think I want this. Okay lah. But I love this one. This section is nice. This section don't look simple. I like this one. This one is nicer. Well, let me shout out to Mystic. You guys can follow Mystic Joker. This is nice, wholesome streamer. Oh, Waalaikumsalam. Ya, Ramadan. Salam dari Indonesia. Ya, salam daripada Malaysia. How are you? Abial. Abial. Bakat to the shoe. I like. I think I like this one better. These sections. Yeah, because there's a light here. You know, you can read the book here. You also can read the book here. At the back. Abi Alpha. Oh, sorry. Abi Alpha Alpha. I'm sorry. Bahasa Indonesia. I don't really know how to speak Bahasa Indonesia. I'm sorry. But English can lah. Abi Alpha Group Leader. Wish. Welcome to the stream. I think we can move on from this. Ooh. Stone. Can I can change the texture of the floor? Oh no. Ooh. Can I like rotate it? No, I don't think so. Wait. Ooh. I can change the floor. No. Can see. Alright. Because the floor is kind of a bit of oranging. Might change it more light color. Ooh. Stone. This don't really have for paint. For the wall paint doesn't have. There's metal. I don't really need metal. Woods. Nah, doesn't have. Tapi ngerti kan? Ya, I can lah 50-50. 50-50. Saya dah ada stream Malaysia setelah Indonesia. Oh, let's go. Welcome. Welcome to the stream. I don't normally stream at this hour, but I try. I just testing my internet. My internet sometimes kinda bad. Bila I kat mana kiblat arah main? I don't know. I guess I don't know that Bujune. No. We don't know that. Alright, okay, how do you... Okay, I think this is done. Okay, this room is done. I think it's nice. I like this one. I don't think there's curtain. I wish there is a curtain, you know, I could put curtain blind decor. I don't think there is. Do I want to add pillow for the bed? Maybe add pillow. Alright, that's kind of oranging. Oh no, I hate that one. Nah. Nah, never mind. Okay. Alright. That is for this one, Maxine. Fantastic. Maxine say fantastic, guys. Let's go. Save and leave. Alright, there is one space. We have 2 more space. This one is not in demo. So I get Berlin. Now we go Berlin, guys. We just went to New York. Now it's Berlin. Semangat ya puasanya. Ya, puasanya. How does puasa? Alpha. Apa? How do I say the name again? Abi Alpha. Abi Alpha, how was their puasa? How was your puasa at your country? No, puasa is fine lah. But I don't know about others. Fusuni puasa. I go Berlin. Oh, Berlin has two people. Prince, I don't know how to say this. A studio, 28 square per meter, and 21 square per feet, I guess. It's belonged to Luisa. So Luisa grew up in Berlin, but has now moved into her first flat all her own. I guess she just finished high school. It's a fairly small studio, but the charming, I don't know how to Grinderzet, I don't know how to say that, founder era architect with its expensive wall and tall window make it feel just perfect for her. Luisa had just started her first job at a climate tech startup. Ooh, nice. And is excited to dive into work. She wants a cozy home office area for the time she will late or won't make it to the office when she's not working or at home. She goes out to meet friends in neighborhood. Friendsburg is known for a beautiful tree-lined street, full of restaurant, bar, local shop, small fashion boutiques. Right now, she feels like her life is finally coming together. Nice. Having a job, my first job. She wants a cozy home office, so I guess she needs some computer. Anyway. Oh, I didn't realize there were ads. Hello. I didn't realize there were. It was ad time. You guys can tell me if it ads, so I can pause beats. You can I think I ads. Yeah, if you like the ads, you can just I ads. So I will stop a bit for you guys. Okay? No, not kapam. Alright. So we're going to decorate Louisa room. Louisa room, studio room. I think. Oh wait. Okay. Let's go. There's two room. A bathroom. Okay. Fusune, this one have bathroom. Bathroom. And need bedroom and kitchen. I guess the kitchen can be over here. A bathroom here. Oh wait. Oh no. Kitchen can be here. Kitchen be here, and then the bedroom here, and then toilet here. Yeah, I think this. Yeah, family can take a bath. True. Let me do the bathroom first. Bathroom is small. I wish they can wall down. Okay, bathroom. Okay, utility. You need the bathtub. Ooh, can it fit? Oh, okay, it can. I think bathtub. What is in that bathtub? I do love if the bathtub, under the window. I love it. Ooh. Okay. But then where should I put the toilet? Wait. Where's the toilet? Where's toilet, guys? Sitting? No, it's not sitting. Toilet. This is not toilet. Oh, this is a toilet. Okay. Oh, what? The toilet. The toilet. I guess the toilet is, if it plumbing, I think it would be at this wall. It's better. No. Okay, I think this one. And then utility. You need paper rolls. Because, okay, I know this is like Western people. I don't think they have bidets. Ooh. Oh, black. You should do black. Aduh. Bilik Z tak mandi. No, it's not mine. It was Maxine room. Tandas pakai kayu. Nanti tumbuh cendawan. Dia ada kain kepang. Tuala. Tak ada toilet biar ada. Ih. Musuh ni. That's disgusting. Should I do white? Is this green? Ooh, this is green. This is blue. And that's not really nice. What's this? I think this is dark green. Maybe just do white. Okay. Now we use tile. Okay, tile. Oh, half a tile. Okay. Now we need some sink. What's the sink? What's this? Oh, this is a big one. Big. Oh, I like this modern sink. We can put here, but can it be white? Yes, it can. It can be white. And I need a, oh, can put toothbrush. I need a, mirror. Do they have mirror? Yeah, you can put grandfather clock here. Why grandfather clock? Orang putih karate disgusting. I have no comment on that. No comment. The kind fine. It's kind of fine. I can't zoom. Wait, contoh mati. I don't know. Ooh, if I have my own house, I do love to have round mirror. Alright, can I like color it? No, cannot. No color it. I think we need some lighting also. Lighting. Oh, they don't have like. They only have this spotlights. There's only a spotlight. Candle. Ooh, I can put candle here, guys. Can I? Oh, I can't put. I can put candle there. Oh, okay. This one, this light. I guess I can put. Wait, contoh mati. I need to zoom. I need to zoom out. What is this? Oh, this one is okay. Not that one. Okay, there's only 2 wall lights. Should I do here? If I like put here, might near to the bathtub is dangerous. Yeah, but then siapa mandi ni? Fusune mandi. I think this one is appropriate. Maybe it's appropriate height, but it's not centerized. It's yeah. Right. Any blind, dia tak ada blind, tak ada langsi, langsi. Where's the curtain? And you know what is the most? When I play Sims, you know what things I love to put? I love to put plants. Can I put plants? This is too big. Can I do this? Too big. Can I do this? We need plants, guys. We need plants to, take all the odor, all the smell from the toilet. It doesn't have wall plant. I need wall plant. Wall plant is nice. Ooh. Oh wait, there's a sink. I thought it was like, small cabinet. I guess you have seating here. Why? Why? Just why? It doesn't have a lot of things. What's this? What's this? What is this? iPad? What is this, guys? Light. Switch light. That's a big switch light. Wait. What is this? Do you guys know? I don't know. Wait, is there names? No, there's no names. Oh, is this? What is this? I don't know what is this. I guess something like something panel. I guess you can put here. Oh, shower. Ooh. I don't think I can put shower because I'm not putting near, walls. So no shower. No shower. What is this? I guess it's like, the plumbing. Wait. We put it. They put there. No. Maybe no. I think it's better is you put under the sink. Under the sink. Nah, maybe no. It's like, what's this? Ooh. You're like doing like a Zen, Zen thing, a Zen theme, where you put, like, okay, you put it under the bathtub, something like that. Wait, let me try. Let me try to decorate. Oh no, it's not. It's not clipping right. It doesn't look nice. I'm not doing nicely. Apa tu? It's too panjang. You cannot read. It's a bit too panjang. I think lah. Let me test because yesterday my TTS broken. So let me test. Jap. Hello.
Hello.
Okay, yeah, can. Apa tu? What you send? Fun fact, see, Versailles bekas istana Raja Perancis. Dalam tahun 1600, 1700 macam tu, pulau-pulau istana akan you
ベルサイユ、レカスイスタナラージャペランシス、ダラムタフン1600から1700カムト、テラワット2イスタナアカンケンシングダンベラックディカットデワン、コリダー、BUCU ディンディングアタウマナツーラデパンウォランアタウタイダックセバブマサトイスタナタースバットタクドタンダスバックスラッシュ。
I mean, I don't know, but
ハンヤパダタフン1768、144タフンセルパスペヌブハンベルサイユ、バール ADA トイレットドットトゥプンアワルツーニアオランスティルベラックディカットマナ 2SBB トイレットマシタックリライアブルキャムスカラン。
you. That's a very disgusting kind of fact. But I kind of know. I don't know which country was it, but I know like during that time, toilet pun kalau ada pun like they're just making a hole. Like saya tak ingat lah negara mana. Dibuat kat tingkat 2 lah. Second floor, there's a toilet. Tapi the toilet just the hole just go down to the tingkat bawah. So to the outside tingkat bawah lah. So ew. Like yeah, dulu I don't know what to say, but I don't know. Ew, disgusting. Praktis kamu dulu Islam depan. Yeah, it's not. I don't. Memang macam berapa peribadi. Ya, dulu sekarang okay lah. Some country already start using water lah for for the bathroom. Ada some country already start using bidet. But some still use toilet paper. Alright, continue taking. That's a very worrisome kind of fact. I just need to show you guys this one. Maybe it's balik. It doesn't want to clip right. Wait, let me try here. It doesn't. Or maybe you need to clip. No, it's not like that. It doesn't want to clip. I'm stressed with this game. Stress. It's supposed to be cozy. It's not cozy. No, it's cozy. Okay, never mind. I can't really show you guys because it doesn't really want to show. Never mind. Oh, wait. This one? Oh, wait. Okay. This one I can put here. We put here. And then all the soap and things. Wait. Why I feel like it's floating. Okay. Then this one. I don't know why it keep clipping. Just up there. What is this? What is this? I don't know. Oh, this girl have a lot of products, because she can afford it. All this product, everything can afford. I can recolor it. What is this? I guess this is toilet. That's a toilet. Oh, maybe this one. Oh, okay. It doesn't have like a rock, to put the toilet. Oh, wait. Chulamati, what's this? Oh, this one is. I think this one is. I don't know what is this. Okay, a lot of things I don't know what is this. What is this? Is it like a radiator? See? Yeah, other country have radiator. But then it's not lined with the lights. Should I put this? Nah. I just looking at things. Oh, this one is. Oh, sorry. Need plants. We need more plant. That the thing is so big. This is so small. This one? Nah. This one so small. Do I want to put plant there? What this one? This one look nicer. You don't know what to put there, just put plants. Yeah. Double plant. Maybe not a good choice. Never mind. I don't think there's anything others sitting. I guess you can put like girls need some stool in the need some sitting area in the bathroom, because we do a lot of things in the bathroom. Don't worry. But I wish like there's a lighter, not kind of orangey. Should I do like? But I don't like this one. This design is not. Nah. Wait. Kita mati, why? Oh, still have this thing. Nah, I don't want that. Oh. Okay lah. I'm not a good designer, guys. Now I don't want this one. Never mind. I don't like it. Is there like carpet? Okay, that's kind of ridiculous. There were carpet here. Oh, that's so big, the carpet. Wait, what is this? Oh, clock. When I play Sims, I like to put carpets at the bathroom because I like it. Okay, I think bathroom is okay lah. Okay. Whoa. Why so dark? It's night time. There's only one light source. There's only one light source in the bathroom. Only that. They don't have ceiling lights, There is ceiling lights, can okay. Oh, is this one like supposed like? Never mind. So gelap macam si. No, I'm not. Okay, we do the sleeping area. Okay. Wow. Yeah, it's so cozy. Even though there's no furniture, but it's look cozy. I put some light a bit. I don't know, just put kita just put some light because I can't see things. We need bed. I think this one is nice for bed. Maybe like simple bed like this one. I think this one is nice. I wanna like put it can't be like that. Now can I move please? We need some end table, but ooh, I can just color. I think blue. I guess I think she more blue girl. Because she's like office person. Oh wait, I kind of forgot. She need a home office, right? Should I make this one as home office? Okay, she need a kitchen and a bedroom and home office. Or there's tak lampu dekat ceiling. No, dia tak ada. I don't think there is. There's only this one. This spotlight candle is because it's a demo. It doesn't really have a lot of options yet. I guess in the future when it's full release there will be a lot of more options. For me, I want to do the kitchen here, kitchen here. I guess the home office can be here. So the bedroom is like kind of hidden from people come in because it's a studio, right? People come in. Now if me, like I put curtains, so I have more privacy on my bedroom. So I need tables, end tables. It's called end tables, and I need something flashy. Do I want like that? Let me see. Is it terbalik? No. No, it doesn't have other color. Actually, there's a lot of things that don't have like color options. This one is simple one. This one is like, do I have other color? Oh wait, maybe wait. Let me take this one and then I forgot about the option of this. Can I color? No, I think this is just for okay. Never mind. It's just for tiles at the floor and the wall. I thought maybe like we can recolor this thing. Let's see other options. This one is like just now. This one is too orangey, See, it's too orange. Everything is too orange. This one is small end table. Small. I think this one's nicer. I think it's complement the bed frame, I guess. The wood down there. Yeah. Okay, we need lighting. No. This is the hazard, Let me just, it's. I wish that can be put at the end. No. I guess this one is nice. This same old lighting. What about this one? Oh my god, that's a tree. Or maybe wait, Choto mati. I need to zoom out. Okay. We put it we put it up. Like the hotel one. The hotel. There's a light at the at the bed frame. Maybe down. Kat luar tu nampak. No, there's not. Pusing. Maybe santai a bit. Okay, and as usual, we need plants. Okay, And then we need decorations. I don't know. Maybe books. Maybe she's a reader also, you know. She's smart and everything. You should have the rooster, you know. They share the same kind of decorations. Because where I wanna put this thing. I wanna go up in the wall. And yeah, just stay there. It doesn't have a lot of option. That's unfortunately. I guess this is the only thing there is. I guess the book can be like bit center. Yeah. We only have this option, guys. Hotel tempat couple bercanda. Hey, what do you mean? What do you mean? Not always. Hotel, sometimes hotel is okay. You know, simple. I do wish there's like carpet. Wait, do I want this for? I guess this for is kind of fine. This one I can delete. Wait, this one can color. Oh, can I like resize them? Wait, you can resize them. I did not know. Okay, there's a limit in resizing them. Huh? Oh, yeah, right. Did not. Now I know. Okay, guys, they're still learning new things. Playing this game. Alright, we need to do the kitchen. I think bedroom dresser. Oh my god, she need a dresser. I think dresser might be somewhere at the somewhere. Not here, I guess. Dresser cannot be there. Yeah, no more space. Do the kitchen first. This living, working, bathroom, sleeping, kitchen. No. I smell my mom cook. It make me hungry. Alright, let's go. What is this? I guess I need something. I guess that's a sink. Yes, this is a sink. This is like a hood. Hood. Okay, I think for cooking is better like here. Okay, cooking better here. But where is the, you know, tables? Living table? No, not table. Storage. Think not this one. She doesn't have counter. Huh? This one? This wood. I guess this one. Let her cook. Let me cook. This doesn't have option for, you know, counter. For the kitchen, lighting, deco, decoration, utility only have this thing. Yeah, I think this is the stove. No, yes, this is the stove. But having a stove on a wooden surface is not great. Maybe I need block. Oh wait, that's a big block. The block. This one? No, that's still big. This one. Is it too high? I think it's too high. One gaming table. Sabar. I'm trying to do the kitchen. There's no storage. Okay. See. This one. Okay. But which one is the front? This one like so big. This one is like for the upper. Doesn't have. Okay, can I do metal? Oh no. Wait. Oh wait, this skip time. Oh no. Can I like? Oh, I can. Ah, I think this is nice. This one is like, okay. I think like, too much marbles. I like this one. And then this one I can do like, nah. I want the white one. Where's the white? Okay, maybe this one can do like tiles down here. I can't put tiles in. It will tiles to the, you know. It will put the tiles in the. I can't put down there. No. Wait. Move it. I like to move it. Maybe not lah. Maybe no. Because you know, then I have like this thingy. Nampaklah penghulu mengamalkan saya bukan. I not. Okay. Maybe no. Maybe just put the same tiles. Okay. Never mind, guys. Mission abort. Okay. We have counter. Okay. Put counter there. Counter here. I wish I can put like maybe a more longitude counter. I don't know what I'm talking about. Maybe can we storage? No, not that one. That's so small. Which one was it? Which one? This one? Can I put here? Can I like, you know, do the L one? You know the L? It's gonna stack a bit, but yeah, it's like that. And then we choose a stone. Cool. Maybe we want to do black. Nah, not black. Oh, I'm just looking around, guys. This one? Why is that dark? Yeah, see, a lot of storage. Okay. Now we put the utility. Okay, now I cannot put here. Maybe I can cook here. Okay, we put the stove there. I don't know where's the fridge. There's no fridge, guys. This house doesn't have fridge. Okay. Wait, this is so small. Wait. This is so small. Can I like bake it a bit? Wait, coba mati. See? We can bake it. No worry. Is that correct? Okay. And then we put the stove up here. You know, I don't think this is okay. And then we need to, you know, large it. Oh my god. See. This one also I need to large it because it looks so small. Yeah, so small. Okay, now it's looking good. I want this to be like, you know, the sink. Ni macam sink rumah-rumah kita je. Doesn't have modern lah. This one is stove. No modern sink lah. Just the sink. Right. I guess something like this. I need it to be big, large. Can you select that? Oh. Can you select? Okay. Ah. Yeah, I love big sink. Okay, this is clipping. Alright. Do I want like this or do I want like... I want like this or do I want like center? I think center is nicer. And then this one. It's coming, guys. It's coming together. This is only the second house. Still have a lot of house. Okay, okay, and we need to put plants. No, we can put here. We can put plants here. Decorations. Okay, we need knife. We put knife. Should I put knife here or knife here? Maybe. Let me put it somewhere first. Later we think decorations. Oh, pots and pan. We can put the pots here. You know, pots. Can I like different color? No. Can I have big pots? Big pots. Big pots. Can I have big pots? It's okay. Big pots. Small pot, big pots, a lot of pots. And then this one I guess it can be here. You know, you want to cook, right? What is this? Oh, this one is like, you know, okay, I might put there first. I just putting things randomly first. Because, let me see what we need for decorations. Blender, you need all the blender in the bowl. The second blender things. I don't think this is blender. I don't want that. That's not cute. And we have our pinggan. Oh wait, no, this is just now. Never mind. I think that is the only decoration for kitchen. Okay. Okay, I need something for upper storage. Upper storage we need, I think like, no, not this one. Which one was that? This one, I think. Upper storage, yeah, this one is upper storage. Okay. I can't see. It's clipping. How do? Hello. Please be nice to me. Why is it keeping like that, guys? Cannot. Nanti tu buka blender tu untuk buat kopi. Is this? But I don't have coffee machine. Only have that. Okay. Understandable. It's like, you're making some drinks for customer, for gas. Okay, I need storage. This one. Okay, it's like clipping, so it can. It's like that, guys. I can't do anything. No, I want something. No, I don't. I want the other one. The one. This one. Yeah, this one. I want this one. Okay. Should put here. Okay. We want the same kind of wood. Can I use wood, right? What kind of wood did I use? Do you guys remember? Was it this one? Can't remember actually. Why? Look the same. It's like kapal blender tu. It's look the same. Oh, this one is this. Okay, never mind. I put it back. Right. This looks so empty. Oh, this one is I think if like you have more space, you can like do kitchen island counter. This one you can delete this. Need the lighting. Ooh, spotlight. I guess this is our only option for lighting. But where do you want to put it? Here? Here. Should I put here? Nah, not over there. I guess you can. I'm bad at these guys. I'm bad at decoration. There's not a lot of option. Maybe I can stack the, I know. Fusune, why you don't wash the dishes, It's floating inside. Wash the dishes, Fusune. Ayah. Why not washing? Can I stack them? Let me try stacking. Does it look stacked? It looks only 2. Where's the pinggan again? Okay, let me try stacking them. I just want to look how it's look like. Ha. Husni makan tadi tak ni pun. Tak simpan pun. Okay. I think wait, it's clipping on each other. So desu ka? So desu ne. Alright. Alright, the kitchen is really, empty. It's very empty. Empty kitchen. Because there's really not a lot of options. Don't mind. Maybe need plants. But it's really... Okay lah kan. Dia makan siang ikan tu. Mana ada malam ni? Tengok ni malam. Tak ada malam. And I like other types of pink. I can't recolor, this one. I want to recolor this so badly because it's so black. I can't see it with the stove up top. And I think that's all for the kitchen, the bathroom, the bedroom, and home office. I still haven't done both of them. Or we still have time, have a lot of times. Okay. This is for the home office. Home office working. Okay. We need sitting. No, we need tables. No. Nah. No. It's so small. Hello. Why? This is so big. This is like Victorian some kind. This is so small, This is like my table right now, It's so small and I don't really have a lot of space. Wish they have more. Make a L shape. Nah. Nope. Wasn't this and this kind of the same? Oh, the chair. I mean the leg. The leg is different. Nah. Can't color it. No. Why? I hate the texture. Okay, this one is nicer. Go away. This one kind of. What the expensive one? It doesn't have, armrest. I need armrest. Okay, this one is okay lah. And we put bit culture and then decorations. Okay, she needs PC. The monitor. Now monitor, the keyboard, What is this? Oh, bigger screen. Go away. Bigger screen. Okay, bigger screen. Maybe we should do. Wait. This one is the main. This one is the main. Yeah, this is the main guys. The main. This is the second one, which is overlapping. This is not one. Okay. This one you put down because you don't have space. And I don't know. You guys, if I do this. Oh wait. Oh, this one has better one. Go away. This one. It's so big. Coming station. Let's go. Oh my god. Okay. We just put things that is necessary. What's this? I guess a tab. You know, you need a tablet. Okay, that's too much. Alright, what is this? This book. Never mind. We need mouse. Let's go. No, I hate this one. No, we need something black. Something. Let's go, guys. Now it's clipping to this. Go away first. Okay. And to finish it, we need plants. We put plants here. Gaming station now. Let's go. We need mics and everything, but no, there's no mic. What is this? Oh, carpet. Oh, we need carpet. Yes, we need carpet to near the thing. Tempat kami delivery. What do you mean by that? I hate this carpet. No, not this carpet. I want other carpet. This is so big. Nah. Oh, this is clock. I can always forget there's a clock. Do I want this one? Can I recolor them? No, I can't. It's ugly. The option is so ugly. This is no. That is more painful to watch. I guess this one is fine. Okay, bear with me, guys. Just pretend there's no PCO there. Just pretend, guys. Okay. I thought Origami already become a furry. Wait, just what they. I don't know if you wake up already or not. Okay, okay, I know this is just a joke. Okay, this is not how it's supposed to be. No. Okay. Alright, this is not how people. I don't know how people set up their laptop double monitor. Okay. Never mind. Maybe she's I guess I think she's more a laptop kind of girl. This was just a joke, okay, guys. This is just a joke. I don't even know what is this. Okay. Let me find her a laptop. Laptop is a laptop. Yes. This one is a big one. MacBook kind of girl. Yeah, she kind of MacBook girl. She need small plan. She need small plan. She need a bit of books. Starbucks hari-hari. Oh, I don't think there's a Starbucks decoration. Which there is. Yeah, Starbucks kind of girl. Now we can use this. Can we? You know, this look like a mic more than a like. Nah. You know, she needs study lamp, but there's really not No. I guess you can use this one. This one can. We need socket right here. So big, and we need some big plant. This is not big. Big plant. That is not big. Big plant. She need many plant. Maybe kinda spook. Okay. Will this chair be over here? Okay. I don't think there's a lot of decoration left. The rooster. We need the rooster everywhere. We put there. That's all. We should need pillow. Yeah. Wait, let me rotate a bit. She need pillow, you know, comfortable. She need comfortable, you know. The chair doesn't look comfortable. Okay. Got the office. Okay, you have the kitchen. Okay, I need a dresser. It doesn't have dresser. I don't know where should I put dresser. This is the dresser? That is no. That's so big. I think dresser. Where to put the dresser? No, guys. we don't have space for the dresser. Dekat Twitter tak ada book night. No. I don't know that. No. Ziha child, no. What do you mean? Mana ada? I don't have child. Where to put the dresser, guys? I can't put here. Maybe can put here. Nah. I don't have space. Maybe it was a bad thing to put that bedroom over there. Okay. You're gonna clip it. You guys didn't see anything. You're gonna clip it to the. It's the dresser is like this. Okay. It's natural like that. We need that plan. We need every decoration. It doesn't really have a lot of things, guys. Not my fault. Okay, we can. I kind of forgot there's a feature for, you know, small. Maybe not here. Can I? Nah, never mind. Delete that. Okay, this is fine. Oh, ada Elliot. No, my Stardew, I don't really have. Still doesn't have child. I'm sorry, guys. We still haven't had any child. I do want to do the book thing, but then I'm too lazy, you know. Maybe this one. Okay. No, not there. Like the clip thing. Alright. This one is done. Okay, we have the kitchen. With Fusune, dia makan, dia tak basuh pinggan. Itulah pinggan di situ. Okay, we have pots and pans, some blender, some kitchen counter up there. I don't know why it's clipping. Should not be clipping because ada storage ground tu kalau clipping situ. And then we have the home office. She's a laptop girl, a MacBook kind of girl, with big plan. This is fake plan, okay? And some bedroom. She open book here, she open book there. Her book is everywhere. Okay. Okay, this is all for the second bedroom. Let's go. Elliot duduk sebelah kecil benar ni. Aduh. Elliot dia tidur dekat atas lantai. This is my bed. Okay. Peluk-peluk. Mana sempit. Oh yeah, I forgot. This is the bathroom. The bathroom simple je lah because I don't really have a lot of decoration. If you want to see me more decorate, I think Sims 4 is the best one for it. Tu ke pinggan aku, tu pinggan dia makan. Tak ada. Semua setengah tak ada. Pinggan Fuzune. Pinggan Fuzune. Hey, let's go. Kom 3. 3 kali nice. Power lah Flame power. Main Valo power. Let's go. Okay, I think let's go. Okay, kenapa dia tak cross bedroom, kitchen. Amazing job. See, amazing. Okay, we still have two this one Berlin, and there's one more flat. Oh, this one have 2 people, guys. Not moose. Micro pillar. I don't know. Waka not moose. Waka the shrimp. I don't know. Micro pillar. Itu cook off shrimp good. Okay. Crow birds flats 48 square per meter and 516 square per feet. So it's Nor and Jamie met in Berlin. Oh, okay. Nor and Jamie is couple. They met in Berlin, fell in love, and finally decide to move in together. Oh, dah kahwin belum? Both of them love art and music. Nor runs her own little fashion and art cafe with a friend. It's a simple job, but they organize small event and manage to make a living. Jamie worked in music and trying to work out their own career. Both of them love to explore city. They enjoy trying new restaurants and go out with their friends on the weekends. The beautiful bright apartment is in a cozy outbuilt building in the middle of Crowbirds. I don't know if I say it's correct. Give them space to breathe and enjoy. They love to cook. Okay, there's kitchen. They enjoy listening to music together. Watch TV. Okay, there's a living room. Or play video games. The best is when they find a new piece of art that breathe life into their walls. Okay. Alright. A very sweet couple. Yeah, billet couples. We gonna have a double bed or 2 single bed. Dah kahwin belum? I don't know lah. Alright. Let's go. Okay, I hit the floor. We need to change the floor. I don't like this floor. To orange. Their wood tone is so orangey. Not gonna lie. Yeah, we gonna change it. Can I drag and drop? No, I can't. Just we changing the floor. Yeah, luckily this game doesn't have budget. No budget limit. So you can like spend, just decorate how much you want. I hope they have more decorations. Just want more decorations. Now Fusune, don't be sassy. This bulan puasa. They do exercise at the gym. Alright. This one, this one already have tiles. Okay. Do not touch that one. As per usual, you do the bathroom because bathroom is small. Okay. Then bathroom, toilet, shower, bathtub, basin. Okay. I guess this one we do other kind of, maybe this one. What is this? How do I put this? I'm sorry, I'm trying to figure. I think it's like this. Ooh. I can't recolor. No, why they love orange. And then you can have shower. Is this a shower? No, it's clipping. Huh? Never mind. I don't know what it is. Where's the shower? Shower. Oh, this one. Yeah. Maybe bawah sikit. Below. Okay. And then, I think this one is a knob something. But it's clipping to the walls. I can't. How do I do this? Hello, hello, hello. Oh, oh, wait. Okay, okay. I think this is a shower also, right? But more of hand shower. Okay, okay, okay. Maybe this one can be at the other side. I need center. This is not center. Nah, I don't like it. Not gonna lie. Never mind. Oh, nah, no. Nah, never mind. Alright, we have a shower, and then I do love to have a bathtub also. Oh, this one? Ooh. Nah, I hate it. It's not really that good. Ooh, this one? Oh, this one is bigger. More bigger. I think this one is like, you know, kat tepi sikit. See, jangan tengok aku punya TikTok video ya. You know, you saying like that is like you saying, please watch my later I watch, okay? No worry, no worry. You say like that, I will watch it. And we put the, can you please rotate? It doesn't want to rotate. I guess, no, I don't. I want it at this wall. Video mana tu? Okay. And then that one. Ada membalu kuru-kuru. Tajuk. Kuru-kuru, kuru-kuru. Macam mana boleh kuru-kuru tu? My brain cannot process it. Aduh, baru post TikTok video It's cool. Oh my god, Zee punya battery phone nak mati balik. No, there's a cat. Wait, let me panas phone ni. Taklah, dah lama tu. Tak pernah tengok. I mean, dia tak perasan kot. Bukan tak pernah tengok. Kita pun bawa follow. I forgot. Kita pun baru follow. Ayah. Wish. Dah. Now Fushni cannot use it. We need the basin. Okay. We need the, you know, I think this one here is okay. We need the sink. Modern sink. You know, I just put everything. You know, I just put. I'm not really liking it actually. Ooh. Yeah, this one have like a little bit of counter. What's this? Oh, yeah, it's like partitions. I do love this. Oh, but did you? Wait. Oh, terbalik. Sengit. Maybe I can delete this. I do love the partition, no. Splashy. Maybe I can like. Can I? You know, like an upper. Wait. Oh wait, never mind. It's glitching. Not really that nice. Ding ding. And we make a tile. No tile. We tile it. Nah. This doesn't look nice. I don't know. You know? I don't know. I don't know. Was it nice? Maybe the problem is this one. Wait. Put this here. What's this? Oh, this one half. Hafu. And then we put those. That's ugly. That's green. That's blue. We'll have that. Jadi korang cuba mati ya guys. I need to open my aircon. It's hot. Hello, I'm back. I'm back, guys. I continue our. I don't know what I'm supposed to do with this. Maybe I should be adventurous. I don't know. You know, when you take a bath, like there's like and I forgot the light. I only have one option I like. Okay, this one. It's like. And I need mirror like always. Maybe this one I'll try the square one, because last time I used the round one. Okay, the light is kind of a bit clipping, need to be more up. Okay, light, need to adjust it more up. Okay. Now we need plants. We need a lot of plants. Not that one. This one. Or maybe this. We can put here. That's a nice one. Decoration. I might do soup. Can I do soup? Wait, there's like this one is a towel. Can I? Okay, towel over there. What more? I really don't know what this is. I don't know what that. This one is the towel rack. Okay, we can like put here. Guess. I think a line. I want a line with the window. Okay, and then I think there's a towel. We can put towel here. See? Genius. Okay, we put soap. This one is like I guess if you like put your soup. Now stop clipping. Oh wait, no, never mind. So always wanna be there. Dia nak ke situ juga. Or maybe this one change direction. Oh, a bit more here. This one can change color. What? Ooh, I like this one. Do I? That's very good. This one is a metal nicer, I guess so. What is this? I don't even know. Oh, I think it's trash bin. I mean trash can. Okay, trash can. We put like down here, buang sampah. Buang sampah, segala sampah, all the trash. Oh, okay, this one. Still want to use that thing. Towel, everything. Right. I'm gonna put the same soap because we love the soap and all the other things. That is, I think. Okay. Ding, 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 ding. Oh, that's so big. I wanna put plant. I love plant. We need to put more plant. We need to put more plant. I think this is like, manicure. I think lah. Okay. Alright. Wish this one is so vibing, ma. I think this one is need to be a bit more to the left side because we don't really have anything here. But the problem is, okay, never mind. There's no problem. Alright. Should I try? I really want to use this thing. I really want to use this thing. Oh, okay. It's like that. It's not like the one that I tried to use. Now it's problem. Why? Stop it, Yamiro. Now it's problem. Never mind. It's one day we shall use it. One day, guys. But I still hate the tiles. Should I do stone? Should I? Oh my god. Oh, I like it. I like the stone. Not tiles. Yeah, I think last time the bathroom I forgot to put wall tiles. Wait, never mind. I hate it. No. Doesn't have contrast. Oh, wait. I had idea. Alright. We got that one, and then this one you can go. What tile was I choosing again? This one? Oh no, not this one. Tiles. How about that? I don't know. Kinda. Let me see at the deeper level. Okay. Why it's glitching, yeah? It's glitching. Awachu, no. It's glitching, guys. Hi, Gami. Good morning. Welcome to the stream. It's glitching. Won't let me look at my bathroom. This wall wall is it's stop it, Yamiro. Maybe other. Ooh, this one. Nah, I don't hate it. Nah. This one. Alright, maybe this one. Okay, this one doesn't have glitching bit. Okay. This is the bathroom. Oh my god, it's so small. What do you guys think? Okay? I think it's okay. Okay, I like it. I don't know why I never thought about using stone on on the floor. Alright, I do love the floor. The floor is nice. I'm not sure about the wall. Okay, the walls. But okay lah. Okay. Nice. Okay. Aku so gelap. No, this is so gelap. Ini lighting. Temporary lighting. Kenapa dia? Hi, Kami. Good morning. Let me shout out you. Ayu. Shino Ogami Iwa. Ding. Rosa. This is I just playing demo game, so yeah, kind of okay lah. Setakat ni okay. Oh my god, machine. Cito mati. Hello. Is the stream okay? My line slow too. I think it's already starting to slow. Oh my god. I haven't finished this house. Can I save? I don't think I can save. No. Yeah, I think it's starting to slow. It was like 10 a.m. It was fine. Wait, did it shut up? Wait, shut up. Hello. Hello guys. Oh no, my internet is starting to slow. Wait, let me check my speed. No. I don't know if you guys can hear me. I don't think. My line. But okay. Hello. Guys, I guess it's like asking me to stop streaming. Wait, I mean, I'm checking my lines a bit. My download is fine, but my upload speed is a bit. Yeah, it's a bit. I don't know. Hello. Can you guys hear me? Hello. I'm back. I think I'm back. I think. Hello. So today I'm doing my speed test. It's 100 Mbps for downloads, but for uploads, which automatic. I don't think my upload is. My upload is okay, fine. Well, I think it's not stable. I think it's okay now. I think. Let me shut out again. I think maybe it's the shout out problem. Can I shout out or the clip is gone? I think okay. 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 I think it's fine. Hello guys. Sorry. There was a technical difficulty. I'm sorry. Okay, I will try to finish this one first. I mean this area, and then we end the stream. I don't think I can stream anymore. We just finished the bathroom, right? The bathroom. I love the bathroom. So where are we going to do the bathroom? I hope Lime is okay. The bedroom. I think the bedroom can be here. Kitchen. I like to do kitchen, near to the entrance, This is studio type, right? I think this is the entrance. So the kitchen must be here, art gallery here, and the bedroom here. So we gonna do it fast, guys. Fast. So it's a couple room. It's like Jamie and who's it again? Noor. Oh, I like this bed. Alright, Jamie and Noor. So never mind. We can't recolor them. That's the problem. Some of them unrecolorable. Okay, I didn't think this one is fine. Okay, we're gonna do fast. Okay, fast, guys. Okay. I don't know about feng shui, but I think it's kind of fine. Now we need end tables. I might do basic. This one. We try to do quick decorations. Okay, and then a lighting. We all have this thing, guys. I don't have a lot of options. But do I do this? Maybe this one is nicer. Not at the hujung. Me delete that. Not at the end. Your lamp will like go down. Right. Is it still? Okay. It's fine, Flame. It's fine. Everything is fine. It's fine, guys. It's fine. It's okay. It's normal already. My line is okay right now. So I'm trying to be as quick as possible. We need some plants. Plant, please. They like to snap at the walls. Never mind. Okay lah, fine. And this one, decorations. Yes. Books. We have only books, guys. We have only books. I do want to plan here. I want to plan here, please. Please. Stop snapping on the. Maybe I put plan down here. Okay, see. And then we need carpets. We need carpet, guys. Big old carpets. Big old. I do love this carpet a lot, but I already use that. Net. I mean, if like, can we like large? We can. Okay, this one nice. I think nice. Oh wait, no, the center. Revolutionary. At the some TV show have like sitting area here. I do wish I can do that, but can we? Do the living room have sitting like that? I don't think so. I don't. Maybe I can dresser. No. A lower, like a low. Kalau rendah kan, rendah. Like this one. Okay, I like this. Okay. Kind of vibe with it. Wait, let me look at the other one. There's the other one, right? Storage. Never mind. That's so small. Okay. We use this. Like that. I do love something like this. Okay. Center. Then wait, what do you put here? There's only like not many things we can put. Oh yeah, I kind of forgot my ruler. We need to put a ruler. Our ruler is everywhere. Ruler here. I have to. Oh, sit down. Sit. No, wait. I think we can like. It's fine. No, this one is here. Oh, okay. Now a bit more down, bit only. Okay. I kind of forgot there's function like that. There's a lot of function. We need our ruler everywhere. Oh, so can wait. I can put my plan then. Wait, cepat mati. don't usually use this. Okay, I kind of forgot. Now that's good. Okay, what we put here, I don't know. We put later. This one we can delete. Alright, bathroom. Okay, kitchen, auxiliary. Okay, we do the kitchen first. Okay, kitchen. So kitchen will be here, right? Okay, here will be kitchen. So again, we do the storage. We need storage. Do we want to do this? Oh, this one is a bit small. Storage. Is it this one? Yeah, this one. Wait, where's the front? This is the front? I don't know. Kata sesuai untuk couple yang akan menjadikan bilik diorang jadi bilik 3 orang. No worries, safety. There is safety. Safety ada. Ada this one lah. Okay. We do a small kitchen lah. Small kitchen. Okay. And then I think stove can be, I don't know why they don't have fridge. Tak ada fridge pun. Oh, this sleeping. We are doing living, working, bathroom, best kitchen, kitchen, utilities. Again, we have the oven. I think this is the oven. Maybe we should do at the hello. Oh, no, it's not clipping anymore. No. It's missing. It's. Hi, Bima. Good morning. Baru bangun ke tu? Hello? Ni main. Kepam korang. Happy birthday. What do you mean? Mana birthday tak ada. Mana boleh puasa-puasa ni? Hey. Puasa. I don't know why the stove is so small. I just need it to be big. Wait, this is small. Okay. Dia macam tak nak kedep. I know I can do something for that. Don't worry. I need to do extra. Ta-da! Ding! 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 Should I do here? I want to do here actually. Okay. Then we put the counter back. Wait, not snapping. Snap please. Snap please. Never mind. Ooh. What is this? Snap. Oh, snap to object. Tak biar kat luar beli barang. Beli apa tu? Hey Elias. Lurk sleep. Oh, okay, guna Elias. Thank you for the lurk. Okay, this kitchen is a bit hassle. Bit. Ni I need the this one again. Where do I put the stove? Should I do island counter? I don't love island counter. We should do. There's one I think can do like this. And then we rotate. Okay.
I'm okay. I'm fine. Quinchana. Ding, 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 ding.
Quinchana be make. We could do some counters here. And this one snap. That one had to snap. Let me move a bit. Now I cannot snap. I don't know what's wrong with this thing. Delete. Storage. See, now it's not snapping. I don't know what's wrong with this thing. Go down, please. Down. Oh, too much down. Up. I... Ah? Hmm. Huh. Huh. Right, never mind. We just move this thing. No, stop it. Okay. I think it's a bit small. I think it's a bit small. Zee tak kejar apa tu? Kejar siapa tu, Bimac? Who do you want me to chase? Kalau tak apalah. Never mind. I think I cancel the Isla counter, you know. I do wanna, like, there's a space. Oh, maybe like this. Oh, it's still a bit small, not gonna lie. I wanna like a space. You know, like you can sit at the kitchen. Yes. Yeah. It's like a dining lah. Okay, no human is perfect, so it's not lined. Like that. And then maybe we can change the wood. This one I want to change the stone. Okay. And then this, can I change the woods to be a... Can? Oh, I cannot. Cannot change the... This one, the stool. Unfortunately. Kejap Bimac. Risau. Right, never mind. Okay. Might do the utility now. The stove. I want to do a stove here. Okay, stove here. I need the big. Can I do more? Can I increase a bit? No? Oh, I can. Okay, here. This is stove. Wait. Is this the norm? I might need to rotate. Okay. And then the hood. Oh, jap. Can't see. I need besarkan sikit. We put it up here. I think it's a line. No, not a bit. Not that much a line. Okay, now it's a line. So it will not be smoke. And then I was think, should I do this type of thing? No. No. Wait. No, not that. I want to sink. I guess like this. Like this, and kita kena besarkan lah. So small. I think double sink is okay. Double. Besarkan sikit. Okay, and then we move it. Pusing. No, it's clipping. It's clipping under there. The sink is missing. Ke tak boleh ah? Oh no, tak boleh lah. I don't think it can. It won't allow. No, never mind. Just do the normal thing and use this one. Yeah. It's fine. And then kita large it. Okay. And then kita move. Is it center? I want centerizations. Okay. And then we use this one. One sink only. Can lah. And then as per normal, Fus ni tak bas pinggan. Tengok tu pinggan siapa? Tengok tu. Alright, and basically I do want to plant some plant over here. Okay, some plant over there. More decorations. Oh. Okay. Pots and pans. I need big pots. Kita besarkan sikit. Big pots. And then kita rotate sikit. More decor. Dia tak ada banyak pot. Satu je pot tau. Kita dua. We have two. Alright. Tak apa Bimac. You can lurk. Thank you for the lurk by the way. You guys can chill. Just chilling. I'm just chilling, you know, here. I need to rotate that things. Maybe... Nah. I don't know. Put our knife. I don't know if it the correct positions. I think this is a knife. I think. If I'm wrong, I don't know. I don't know, man. I think it's like that. Please move. Never mind. I might put here. Okay. It's so. Okay, never mind. I need to use this one. I know. What? Why you ke belakang? Where are you going? Why ke maki ke belakang? Hello? This thing is broken. Okay. My blender. My awesome blender. I need to blend things. And then you wanna drink something? Alright. I need trash bin. I think there was a trash bin in the toilet. So might go toilet, bathroom. I think decor is a trash bin. Yeah. I don't know why they don't have trash bin. Hello, we need trash bin. Never mind. It doesn't look nice. Never mind. I cancel the idea. I cancel. Okay, I don't think the kitchen. Oh wait, light. I can forget about lights. We don't really have a lot of options. So like normal, we use this one. Should I do this here? I think I should do there. Yeah, look nicer. This one, go away. Shoo. Oh my god, guys! My kitchen. There's not a lot of things. Oh yeah, I can forgot. I can do the storage also. No, upper. On the up. Not this one. Storage. This one? Yeah. On the upper partition, we can do storage. But we jap mati. Never mind. I want like sebab dia ke belakang sangat, you know, is into the walls. I can kedepankan. Never mind. This one I can kedepankan. Huh. This is so weird. Can I like stack them? 어떻게 하지야 마. Yeah. This one can.ちょっと待って. I did type of storage. Same. How about this one? I think this is just empty one. Empty closet. Never mind, guys. Tak lawa kalau ni. Never mind. Delete. I wish I can put cabinets, closet pula. Cabinet up there. Alright. And then we did the oven. Oh wait, I forgot oven. I forgot the oven. The oven. This oven. Alright. Yeah. I need. Besarkan sikit. Besarkan. Need to move it. Move it. I like to move it. Bawah sikit. Dalam sikit, I think. Okay. That was good. I think so. Nak ada lagi lebar. Can make it more lebar? I can. Sikit. Put more here. Alright. Now that's a kitchen. And now there's a kitchen, guys. Alright, we left with extra wishes of the art gallery. I don't know where is art gallery. I think it's working. So this piece is for the art gallery. I don't know what's supposed to be in the art gallery. What is supposed to be in the art gallery? Stairs? I'll put stairs. Art. Oh. Is this considered art? Yes, it is. It's considered art. My rusa. Allah, terkejut aku. Dang. Oh my god. Dang. Siapa punch baby man? Terkejut sih. What do you mean pasangan? No. I'm single. Art the stair. I want to put the stair. The stair. Never mind. I guess we can make like a sitting area here. Not working. More living rooms. Yes, it's a couple, so we need to get couple's chair. This one. Ni cerita tu mati. This one, I don't know. It's ugly mah. Lah main kejar-kejar. Mana ada dah nak sih. Kejar. Deng, tolong kejarkan. Go. Oh, I like this one. And then kind of put like a plan. A big plan. I think plan can be, I think this corner can. No. This one, we need to put more. Oh, I like this one. What is this? Oh, music. Yeah, the guy, the man like music, so we put speaker, guys. Only one speaker. Oh yeah, I forgot. They like to watch TV. How do I? Okay, how do I do this? Okay, this is no. Wait. That speaker, we need to take it back. Take the speaker back. Okay. That one just a chilling area. Wait. I think this one. Okay, this area can be. Can I move this one? What is? Oh, we cannot open that. Can I move that? Can I move like? Okay, why cannot lah? That's a path. Never mind. Alright, we need some. Not this one. I hate that one. Nope. Some tables for the. So yellow ma. Some tables for the TV. Zee, kau pun tak nak saya tak larat lah nak kejar-kejar. Kejar tu apa? Chicken chops, okay ya, Bimat. Bimat lah beli. I think this is kind of fine. Alright. Now we put some TV. Where's the TV? Which one is the front? No TV. We need sound system, you know. Wait, how do I clip? I think there's an option to clip, but nah, I don't know. Sound system. We need sound system, guys. I kind of forgot about sound system. That was in the decoration. Ah, yes, this one. Yeah, go boom, boom, boom. RIP jiran RIP the neighbor. Because there are 2 speakers. There's 2 speakers in this house. Bebek pergi beli sendiri tengah puasa. Mana boleh pergi beli-beli. Makanan awal lagi. Dia kind of bit snapping here. Alright. And then chair. We need chair, sofa. I think the sofa can be like a small sofa because we don't really have like big kind of space anymore. So I guess like this we can like never mind. Apa tak si masak. Tak ada korang masak sendiri. Oh, big sofa. I don't think we can do big sofa. We can do small sofa. Or maybe this sofa. Because it's a couple house, we need second sofa. This, yeah, these guys, this is the thing. Di mana pun nak masak. Masak tu apa? I think lighting, kita letak satu lighting kat sini. Need more lighting actually. Is there so many space by the way? Let's see decorations. I don't think. Oh, that's a chess piece. Oh, I can put chess piece here. Then we can put chess piece here, you know. They love a good games of chess. 1 or 2. This one can be put here. Can I put plant here? That's so small. I need a bit bigger. Nah, not that one.
サプスドケムクザガップダピーダクスプダッシュテスト
Apa benda splash test? Coupon house. What do you mean coupon house? Bimek semalam makan okonomiyaki. Tak lanjur. Siapa hati Bimek? Tiap kali si masak confirm berjatuh. Ya je korang. Ya Can I put there? It's kind of bit sempit. This so far. Kita move a bit. A bit here. Okay. Alright. And this one is bit here. Okay. Nice. I don't know. We need more arts. We don't have a lot of arts. I got distracted. Is this art? Oh yes, this is arts. Okay, art painting. I don't know where to put. Oh wow, keluar. Do that. I think behind here can be put arts. Yes. And then we can put arts in the kitchen. I reckon. Nah. No. Never mind. Forgot. Okay. Oh wait, there's a other type variants. Oh, okay, let's go. Oh, okay, this one nice. Need 2 more. Decoration. We need our rooster. We need our rooster. Our rooster come back. I think we put here because it's kind of big.
ココナッツウォーターボトルフォーサレゲームオンフライデーナイトウィズアリトルオレオスーン&チャットトゥザアドミンアバウトディスケパンアイドントノーワットアイタイピングジンズマッシュダキンズバンマママ
Mai dapat lanjut Bibi masak sendiri. Oi, let's go. Bibi masak korang. Cik Calang. Zizi. Hai Zeno. Tak ada macam tu. no. Oh no. Oh, patutlah reward Z sikit. Alamak, I can Z remove extension. Alamak, Zeno, sorry. Tak apa. Thank you for the headpad. Patutlah Bimai kata mana link Z ingatkan Z buang. Z buang untuk puasa. Tak apalah, kita bayang je lah. Next stream Z try letak sebab itu terbuang lah rasanya. Tak sengaja. Aduh. Ow. Ibu who call me. Hi Zeno. I kata the stream. Just
The
decorating
coconut
houses.
nuts is a giant nuts. If you eat too much,
Dang, ya
you'll get very fat.
Not that
Now,
song.
the coconut nuts is a big nuts. But this delicious nuts is not a
Not that
nuts.
song.
It's the cocoa fruits.
Miska.
It's the cocoa fruits.
Miska.
Of the cocoa tree. Of the cocoa tree. From the cocoa palm family.
Coconut tree. I think this is okay. I think this is the final. Okay, ni pinggan fusu ni tak masuk pinggan. Okay, this is the bedroom. I do love the bedroom. Jangan lie. Bedroom nice. Only these three lah. Mineh. Change the tree. Let me change it. Let me change this one. Let me change that. Alright. And this is the living room. They like to watch TV. Okay. And this is empty space. Don't ask me. In the kitchen. Siapa makan tadi tak basuh pinggan. And then this is where they play chess together. Oh, so sweet. Everything. And then the bathroom. Wait, where's the bathroom? And the bathroom I like the bathroom very much. Okay, the bathroom very modernized. I love it. Alright, I love it. Alright. We can wrap this out. Let's go. Nor and Jamie. Perfectly done. Second leaf. Oh my god. We left it Tokyo. But I think this one I might do I might stop here. Thank you for playing. I hope it was fun time. If you want to support me, you can wishlist the game and write a review. Later I do. Tandas tu tahu tak kena matahari nanti kepala mana ada kena matahari. Jangan risau.
あーずジュシとサックスナンシュスムムムンクスクスジャビーガーAAAAAAKEPAM ケパンエイリオットブカック
Hanggang kepam Bimek. Alright. I think this is all. Okay, overall the game is very peaceful, very chilling, you know. I do love the decoration, the interior designing, everything. I really love. Only if there's more option for the decoration and the furniture and everything. There's a lot of mechanics in there that can be used. I'm still learning about it. Yeah, I ending already like 3 hours streaming. And my internet's already like tadi internet problem tadi. So you guys should if you guys like chill game, I guess you guys can try this small space. It's called small space demo. You guys can try it. Right. Tahu je nak rate. Alright, that's for the game. I'm gonna rate. Let me see who to rate.
マミー ZIE レードトゥームレードマミー 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 ZIE レードトゥームレード
Saya risau dengan ZI ni. Itu si dari siapa ni? Datin kan. No A B C D E F G. Kita kena rate cepat ni. Semua dah A B C D E F G ni. Right, let me stop the rate first. Stop rate for 1 hour. Nanti kata tiba Z tengah rate, orang rate Z. Tidak, kan? Alright, sabar je. I'm still looking for people to rate. Oh, 6 dah bangun ke? 6 atau kuru? Nak 6 ke kuru ke? Kuro hari-hari main GTA. Rezi boleh. Jom kita rate ZieLex. He's an awesome streamer. Ping like me. Memang pukul kan. Ih. Duh, kita rate Pretty Smile dah. Malu saya. Alright everyone, thank you so much for coming to my stream. Okay, we are raiding someone. I'm gonna raid. Kita rate. Siapa tak? Bibi. Siapa Bibi? Who's the Bibi here? Ada Bibi awak kat sini. Wah. By the way, siapa yang tak follow Z, you can follow me. I'm almost a bit 700 followers. Sikit.
Abang. 50.
Sikit lagi korang. Tolong follow. Siapa yang tak follow lagi tu follow. I'm a very good streamer kan. Kita akan read Syaki Kuro. Jangan lupa copy the read message. Dia tengah main GTA. Kacau sikit budak GTA ni. Thank you everyone yang datang ini. Thank you for chilling with me. Thank you berada dengan Z dari awal sampai akhir. Thank you for the follow. Thank you for the beat. Thank you for the sub. Thank you for everything. Thank you so much. See you guys again. Bye bye. Annyeong. Mana ada child? Tak ada. Thank you for everything. Not the child. Alright, bye bye. Kepam semua.